For years, I've been searching for ways to make art feel easier, more natural and more inspiring. And finally, I decided to create a full video showing all the unique products I designed to simplify the creative process for everyone. From watercolor kits to sketchbooks to creative workbooks and video courses, every product was made with one goal: to remove the fear of doing art and help you enter a real creative flow. I wanted art to feel less stressful and more intuitive, relaxing and alive. So in this video, I'll show you the tools, ideas and methods that completely changed the way I create and might change the way you create it too. Before making a detailed review of all products, I would like to explain my motivation. I believe art is one of the highest forms of human expression, and since childhood I always shared everything that I learned quickly. So I have more than 20 years of teaching experience, and I found out that the old methods, they're not working and they're very slow. So that's why I always try to create less friction in accessing to art for people, so that the more people could start creating their art and feel in the state of flow. So that's why any of these products is quite innovative at the moment when it was created, and they're conceptually different, and they use materials that let you experience the art the best way. Nice quality materials, nice quality pigments, so you can get the most shades. Let's start reviewing all the products. It's just I will just clean them from here, just so that you have in focus only one product, and I will explain how to use it and what is all this about. So there was this book. It was the Watercolor Trip to Italy. It was created in 2018 and was published, and it was quite innovative at that moment. So actually it was the first book printed on watercolor paper. So the first book, actually, it was printed totally on watercolor paper. Then I changed these pages to another paper because there was a lot of paper, watercolor paper used. So the basic concept of this book is that you have basic techniques written here. You have colors, like 12 colors that you mix. And why I created this book? Because a friend of mine, he's one of the 5 best watercolor artists, Andrei Gerasimuk. He taught me watercolor basically, and of course I learned it quickly, and so I wrote all the recipes, all the techniques. This is the first book that we created together, and I put all the techniques in the instruction forms with all mixes, because it's very important to know what colors to mix. So we traveled through Italy and saw many landscapes and created outlines here on the so you don't lose time for outlines, and the instruction for this. This is the first book, and actually if you check now in Amazon, the same concept book, which was created later, is now the bestseller #1. So I'm good in inventing things, but I still have to improve in my skills to promote it. Let me show you quickly how this book works. So this is already painted here in the book, watercolor painting. The paper is quite good, 300 GSM. So you basically have 2 attempts, you see, and you move from easy to more complex thing. So let me explain how this book works. So firstly, I just open any lesson, like for example this one, and then I take colors. So These are my brand colors, especially for this kit. This is pro level, the highest level. The quality is like Winsor & Newton Pro Level series. I used already these colors. So I take the, I have names for this color, so each color has its name, and I basically read the instruction here. And I just mix, for example, if I like, so I mix like ochre with yellow ochre to create a background, even more ochre. Yeah, I just, no, this is very good pigment. They always are saturated enough. And then I just cover the paper. Paper is 300 GSM. I switch the color a little bit. I know this already. So you cover this, so you basically paint in the book. Yeah, you follow the steps, like applying masking fluid and so on. And you have already like 2 attempts. The paper doesn't buckle, so you just paint in the book and you add some colors there. It's according to instructions. And you also have the QR code. You can actually visit this place because it's all real places. Yeah, let's say like this. Okay, and then you can add some colors. I have a lot of lessons how to do it, video lessons online. Okay, so I will put it aside. By the way, I have also on KDP Amazon the, let's say, paperback version of this book. Amazon prints it for you, so you can use these lines to create outlines on watercolor paper here. And still the quality is very good of colors here. So this is the second watercolor trip to Italy book. So then I traveled to Spain and I created this book, Watercolor Trip to Spain. There's a lot of landscapes from Spain and a lot of new technique and a lot of new color mixes. Also you can check the places where they are. So this book is basically with Spanish views and also 17 lessons. So this is the second book, and then I traveled to France, and we also with a friend of mine, Andre, created the Watercolor Trip to France book with the advanced techniques, new color mixtures, more views and bigger size. So you can make your watercolor journey to France. Okay, basically these books are instructional books with the techniques for mostly for beginners. These 2 books, this is more advanced. This is for first step, let's say, to quickly learn watercolor. These are another innovative product. The basic idea is to create plein air paintings. When you already learned watercolor techniques, so you can go outside. And the innovative idea of this book is that you have palettes covered with watercolor mixtures that that I did accordingly to old master's knowledge. So I mixed watercolors, I applied them on the special material, and it goes with this aqua brush, also my brand. So you just add here some water and you can paint it. So this one is like with blank pages. Let me show you how it works. For example, I think it's already, yeah, and then you have paper here. So it's already used. Yeah, I used it for just to produce some sketches, you see. You add some water here. You mix it with the pigment, with dry pigment on the paper, and then you can just simply paint. So you just add it onto the paper. And in case you, for example, you need to quickly go somewhere to finish the painting, so you just take the extra paper and you can close it. Okay, let me show you more. This page. So again, I'm just adding some water here. It's already mixed. So when you look, for example, landscape, you don't see vibrant green colors, you see complex colors, and I have already mixed those colors. For example, if you watch to the sky, you don't see it's not vivid blue color, it's a mixture, and I already made this mixture, so you don't lose time to find the proper color, and you can just enjoy the painting process. And you know, it's very important during plein air painting when you have like 15 minutes for sunset, and you always have all the colors harmonized. And yeah, actually I can tell you that I gave this sketchbook to kids like 3 years old, 4 years old, and they always could find a color of the tree or the sky on this palette and put it like simply onto the watercolor paper. So you see, they are harmonized, the colors, and you have a lot of different palettes here. And let me show, maybe there are some, yeah, that's what I did. It was in Lombok, Indonesia. I was sitting somewhere and it took just 10 minutes, you know, to create. So this one is already used, the watercolor sketchbook. And yeah, I have a lot of versions. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna show you the first version and what I've created here, which is quite good. Yeah, so I used these colors to create this painting, and I think, do I have more? Yeah, one more. So this has been created from these colors, and I also have just different versions, different size. There's a square size, which is very useful. It's easy to use. Just some sketches here. I think yeah, this one. You see, all the colors are harmonized and look quite good together. And then I have this a little bit smaller than A5, and yeah, and the colors are quite good. So I use them quite often, and actually I created firstly for myself because I don't like to have all the paints and water in my hands when I'm just painting just enjoying the watercolor painting, you know. So I better use already mixed mixed colors and just apply them, because you know it's always a game and fun to experiment with new color mixtures. I combined the first idea with the idea of it's called Watercolor Sketchbook Venice. So I added outlines in the sketchbook and the watercolor palette. So you have watercolor palettes, and then you have the outlines at easier. Then you have in this sketchbook photos from all these views in case you don't go to Venice. And otherwise, if you go to Venice, you can take this sketchbook and the location is here exactly. Then you stay and then you put some colors, some water, and yeah, this is my sketchbook in Venice. So I did it, I painted it within like one day, many landscapes. So I just stood there and painted. As you see, everything looks quite good, and yeah, it looks according to colors that in Venice, accordingly to those views. This is watercolor white pages, Venice, and then I have especially watercolor sketchbook. It's lighter for flowers, because I found out that I like to paint flowers and many like to paint flowers, so I mixed especially palettes for flowers, and you don't need to mix all these colors. I'm using the colors, I didn't tell it in the beginning, so I just took some of them. I'm using these colors. These are very good brand, Royal Talents, and I already like experimented. I even like put the watercolor painted paper to my window for 10 years, and I studied how the colors stay on the paper, and actually they were the best, these Royal Talents. I like them a lot. So I have basically this size A5, 3 sketchbooks, flowers, white pages, and Venice. And then, like recently, 2 weeks ago, I created small series of these sketchbooks, because I understood that for sketches, sometimes you need smaller size, you can take it with you. And so I have it for landscapes, portraits, and flowers. I used it already many times. So basically the same idea, like those, you have palettes for flowers. Yeah, and palettes for yeah, let's see, palettes for portraits, the colors that we use when we draw, when we paint portraits, for example, here. And you also have, this is also a new thing for my sketchbooks, so you have this transparent sheet with the proportions of the face. So when you make a simple painting, drawing, then you can check whether proportions are correct or not. You just move it like in any direction and you see if it's correct or not, so you can use it the same way. And this one is for landscapes with special colors, good greens for landscapes that you can use on the go. And I will show you my first sketchbook, small sketchbook that I painted already. So these are the watercolor landscape paintings that I did, like within each one within like 20 minutes, you know, maybe less. So basically I take colors from here and I make a sketch. I was doing it while jogging. So I was jogging, and then like 20 minutes I stay and I concentrate, and just believe me, you have less anxiety, you have state of flow, you get a lot of energy and you get something done. you have beautiful painting, you know. And yeah, I liked it a lot because you don't lose a lot of time for big painting. I used it, and it's quite easy to use, and you can put it into your pocket. Okay, let me shortly come back to the watercolor kit for this book, Watercolor Trip to Italy, just to show you the what it is inside the kit. So I have these brushes, which are very good quality. I like them a lot. Then you have like some samples just to test, and then you have masking rubber, masking liquid, and paraffin wax to make many different tricks and techniques. And let me show you quickly the paints. So this is watercolor paints, 12 hues. I did this with together with a very good factory, and these are very fine pigments and very saturated pigments. So you have basically 12 colors, and then you have all these colors, and then you have a small label with names that are mentioned in the book. And let me show you just a few strokes how these colors look like. Okay, they're a little bit dirty, but so this is the lemon yellow, this is like yellow, and red. Oh, I combined it with yellow. It's quite good. So you can see, for example, let me show you the ultramarine. So I add some water. Oh, it's a little bit yellow. And I take ultramarine. You see, it's very small grained pigments, good quality, good color, not very vivid color. It looked like ultramarine, professional ultramarine. I compared it to many professional brands, and I can tell you that this is the same level as pro level, and of course it's pro level. I mean, factory has all the standards. And then you have this nice blue, which is very saturated, very good quality. Then you have the burnt sienna, and I like color mixture burnt sienna with this blue. So yellow ochre, and then you have black, and alizarin crimson. I like it in many mixtures. The colors, I'm very happy with these paints, and I used it many times. I use it for my painting, and I also have these palettes. This is a very interesting thing, so let me explain. These palettes, like I call them bloom palettes. So you have a lot of colors that also you can activate with water, and they're always different because I use different palettes. It's always a surprise what colors you get. And it's quite small, to 1 inch, yeah, and you can always take it with you and use it. So let me show you the same thing I used already. This is the used one. I did a big painting with that, and it was still enough, everything. So how to use it? So I take aqua brush with water, I add here water, and I apply it. So you can hold it in your hand, I think there are like similar products already, but the idea that I put here not open colors but mixtures that you can already use for your watercolor painting. Different mixtures, normally natural mixtures. Yeah, you see, like, they're very good. I like them. You don't need to spend time for mixing colors, and then you just close it. Of course it will stick, but it's not a problem because you can always reopen it. The next product, the next books I recently created, and they're workbooks for drawing. And I discovered that this method helps you to awaken the creative child in you. It's a very good tool to improve your imagination. The basic idea that I use specially created patterns that come from nature. They somehow spark ideas, and somehow they influence the brain, that the brain predicts a lot of shapes that we know already, that we take from our prior experience. So basically you look at the picture and then you start feeling that there are like some shapes here. It looks like a tree, it looks like a mountain. It's called pareidolia effect. Actually, Da Vinci spoke about this, that you should look, observe stains on the wall, and then you have a lot of ideas. And yeah, the main issue was that I had this ability to see the patterns before, and then I started collecting all these natural patterns within like the last 10 years. And in the end, I assembled them together. I layered them with transparent layers, and I created these special pages that can invoke some ideas. So for example, I have already a lesson for this. So this is the picture that I saw on this page. And of course you can turn around, you see different patterns, or you can just go to plein air. The idea that you don't have blank page like here, you know, and any line here will look very nice because it's already a lot of things here. So it supports your imagination and activates imagination. And we know that it's very important for people to create things in the material world like we have it in the material world. And everything starts from creative imagination. Like, let's take Tesla. He had this idea, insights coming to him, and he created a lot of things that changed the world. So and the same story about cars and so on, and Da Vinci used the same thing. So once you like improve your imagination, then you start getting insights, and it works. It goes like state of flow. So you have a lot of ideas in different fields. So these books are basically to train imagination, to create nice drawings. And just believe me, any line you do here, you'll like it, because it's already with some support. And for example, if you need to draw the mountain, you see here there are already mountains here. They look like mountains. So you'll use this line to create your mountain line, and it will look natural, not like, you know, like when we draw lines, mountains, they look like pyramids, all triangle. And I also created a small sketchbook for like sketching on the go. So the same idea. So I used pattern pages, and then you basically draw it here, and you see there are a lot of different shapes, and you take it and you draw, and then you can tear these pages, and the cover page will be your page. So I called it Spark Sketchpad, just to show you the first sketchpad that I created like 2 years ago. It's already drawn, you see, it looks very nice. And like patterns like this, let me find the very first picture. So this is actually the very first pictures here. So I found this is the very first picture created by this method. You see that I saw here houses, mountains, river, waterfalls, whatever, and yeah, it looks quite natural, realistic. And then I created just one more picture, and then I also tried, let me show you, I also tried to put some watercolor, and it looks also very good. You see, watercolor applies quite well, not like on watercolor paper, but quite well. Let me find one more. This a little bit dark, but it's still good. And yeah, I have many sketches done to develop this design, this sketchbook like this. And then I tested it with watercolor, and then I did this drawing. You see, I just emphasized the mountains here, and it looks quite realistic. And then just added some paint marker and the mountains, what I told you. Okay, these books are available on Amazon. They print it for you, and they actually print it on very good ivory color paper that you can easily use for sketching, and it's so it sounds so good when you draw here. Just very good experience. So I have separate palettes for sketchbooks, but these are already with holes here, but normally I just combine them in a set of palettes. And yeah, for those who would like to have palettes already harmonized, you see many colors are quite natural, so you use these colors for any of your painting, and then you can reuse these palettes, just add watercolor again and use it again. When you, for example, let's take this one sketchbook, you see I did like a tree here, so this palette is used already, but it still looks nice, so you can reuse it to find the color composition. Let's say you have the print film and you printed your drawing on the print film, and then you put it just on the, it's transparent, so you put it on the palette and you see the colors. Once you like it, you can just create a new painting, you know, for example like this, or you try another, and you see you have already almost painting. And also I have another landscape, this small one, looks also nice. Yeah. So if you like this color set, so you can experiment with your palettes. For example here, once you like the color set, you can just take a picture and then make a bigger painting and make it better. Let me take another sketchbook. I have a lot of sketchbooks with used palettes. For example, this one, you see, I just put here this film and I see then the possible way to use it. And yeah, I just put it here. And by the way, you see like it's not all the paint used from the palette. Normally it's enough for 3 paintings, so you can still use the same paint. You see, it looks quite good. And I can also, I have another landscape, just Italian view. So you take this Italian view here and you see which colors fit the best. And this is, by the way, the new approach to find composition. You know, it's always a challenge to create a new painting, so it's much easier to do it with this already used palette. And You can always print this your drawings on the transparent, or just draw something on the composition in black and white on the transparent film, and then use them to find the color. So let's take here, you see, okay, and then you have already like ready composition of colors, and you decide you like it or not. Yeah, this art is like a game. You always play with materials. Okay, that's another way how to use the palettes that have been already used. Okay, I didn't show you few more sketches from my Sparky sketchbook. So the first version was with palette, but actually it's not very usable. So this picture took like, I don't know, 10 minutes to create, and it looks nice and natural. And last but not least, my recent book. So, you know, when you paint enough, when you get all these inspirations, when you experience state of flow, something is happening inside your mind and you start getting insights. So I had the idea to show a new way of getting new ideas, creating something new. I had it back in 2009 and I wanted to make a movie, but then I just recently, 3 years ago, I decided to write a book. So for me, it's not my native language, so that was a challenge to learn language, English in that extent, and to learn writing. So I spent a lot of time, like 5 hours a day, to write a novel, and just about art, just about the artist that shares his idea how to create. But then suddenly I started feeling like a lot of information coming to me, especially about history, ancient history. So in the end I started writing down it, and yeah, it took like 3 years to write 3 books, and this one is ready. It's already edited, and 2 other books will be edited later. So yeah, that was the best experience, I would say. And so this book is about the artist that reveals his method how to get inspiration, and there's a story in like Dan Brown style, you know, unfolding about ancient secrets and so on. And I put all the insights that I had during that time and before in this book, so it is actually not fiction completely. It's just a little bit fiction and a lot of truth here, how to create, how to get this state of flow. So it's also available on Amazon. I would recommend you to read if you want to have a good story and just to have this insight, because I wanted to share this secret in the book, not just in Instagram post or Facebook post. Yeah, that's me here. Let me show you the social proof for product quality. So let's go to my shop on Etsy. I put my brand, Insparea. It's Exipic. So let's go to the shop, Insparea Art, the name of the shop. So as you see, I have 1,200 reviews. Most people are satisfied with quality, with everything that is in the product, and they give a lot of reviews, so you can check them. I appreciate a lot, because this shop is already since 2018, so I had a chance having this feedback to improve all my products, quality. And what I've learned from reviews, that many people justified my main statement that they could learn watercolor easily, very quick, and they had the best experience. So thanks a lot for all my customers for giving me these reviews, and I'm still constantly improving new products and creating new ones. So I keep moving this direction with good quality material, with innovative products. Thank you for your attention. I was so happy to present the product that I have. I hope you had some experience with them. If not, you can have. My mission, I would say, that to share the best experiences in art so that everybody can create more art and be more in a state of flow, because it's the best experience I get in my life, and I would like to share this. It fills you with energy, you perceive the world better, and you see much more things, because we always reconstruct inside our brain what we see. So you improve your perception to make life better and get more energy and less anxiety. Okay, I'm gonna make like separate reviews for products, how to use them, but later. Thank you, have a great day.